Are you going, Lynn?
September 1st to the 5th,
Oh, okay.
so the
Good.
end of August. So,
Mhm.
all right, you guys, I'm turning the mic over to you.
Okay.
Dub, Myrna, I see Karen in the room. Hi, Karen, Mickey, Sharon. Welcome, welcome. And the mic is all yours.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning, Dove.
Welcome back. And I know you had a good time there,
Mhm.
as good a time as you could possibly have.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
was it was a good yes. It was wonderful, really. We didn't let the little incidental feeling lousy interfere with the trip. You know, one night, I mean, I was so stuffed up, I couldn't even lie down. I mean, I couldn't even, because I was so backed up with congestion. And I sat up all night, and you're not even, you're not at home. You're on a ship. It kind of took a little bit away from it, but you still couldn't deny the beauty of it, and the weather was gorgeous. So there was a lot of you know enjoyment as well. Yeah.
Good. And everyone here was having a good time too.
Mhm. Great.
It's not
So,
it's not where you are, it's where you are. Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Which means if you're in the is, that's it.
Right. And wherever you are, there are always people that, people are the same. I mean, in other words, you just integrate easily with people, especially in an environment, in a vacation environment. It was very nice. You always meet nice people when you go away. And that's a big part of it as well.
I like
So
people are the same.
people are the same. Yes, they are really all over the world.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially during the course. We may look different, different colors, different bodies,
Hello.
different genders, but we're all the
Hi.
same. In
Mhm.
spirit and in mind, we are one.
We're all one. Yes, exactly. And it's
Pretending to be different, of course.
well, that's the ego. The ego is that's where separation comes into the fold. We're perceiving ourselves with differences, and when egos are not the same. They're not. It's the spirit with which we're joined that makes us feel equal and makes us feel that we belong to a certain energetic environment. It's wonderful, when you connect that way. Um, so it's a matter of knowing to separate the two,
I like the idea
recognizing.
that in Europe they have so much time, people just sit outside
Mhm,
in their latte, watching people go by,
mhm.
and you kind of notice that you don't see that in the United States, really. People are always on the go, no
Yeah.
time to sit and muse. And I
Mhm.
just put up in the chat the real luxuries, and if I can, I'll read them. Uh, that could be a real. Someone put up a camera already put up a heart. So let me read what the real luxuries are. A good night's sleep, slow mornings, freedom to choose, time for fun and play, listening to birds singing, long walks, a good book, favorite home cooked meal, colorful sunsets, ability to freely express yourself, day naps, and good conversation. Hey, those are the real luxuries. And I agree. I posted that on ACM Gather for A Course in Miracles on Facebook, and I truly think that that's really good stuff.
And it's all free. Every one of those, everything that you mentioned on the list, it's all free.
Yep.
The greatest luxuries don't cost anything when you think about it.
Mhm. I mean, that is a luxury to get up when you want in the morning and have a slow morning,
Mhm.
nice cooked meal.
Yeah. Well, food on cruises, I mean, is plentiful. I mean, you can really gorge yourself without limit, and it's easy to gain weight. The one thing that I was happy in being sick is that I didn't gain any weight. I couldn't eat anything, you know. So to me, that was the luxury of the trip, not gaining weight.
As I said to you earlier today, you really take very good care of yourself. True,
Yeah,
very good care of yourself.
thank you. Anyway, so today's lesson is um,
It's a repeat of lesson 185,
185. Yes.
which is all about the peace of God.
Mhm.
And it says to say these things is one thing, but to mean it is everything.
Yeah, exactly. I'm returning to lesson 185, which I want the peace of God.
I think you have to say it and mean it at 100%. You can't do it at 99%, because if you're holding out, you really don't want the peace of God.
Mhm.
You're holding
We
out for
don't,
something more, better, different.
we don't know, oh, we don't want the peace of God. We think the peace of God is denied us. We don't know that the peace of God is there for the taking and that it's available. And that's what we really have to learn. We think that things are beyond our control, where A Course in Miracles tells us there's nothing beyond our control, that we have control over our emotions, we have control over our fears, our everything that we're experiencing, whether it be pleasant or unpleasant. We bring it on ourselves. And the peace of God is that tranquil place inside of us that we're willing to go to when we're experiencing devastation or even less than devastation, discomfort, to get into that place of healing from that, of feeling soothed by the fact that we are in a place that that belongs to us and that we're connecting. You feel the connection, the God connection in that place.
Yeah. I think you nailed it when you said, you know, we, we, we seem to want control, and you can't have peace, the peace of God, and have control at the same time. It's really one or the other. And I think how we got here is we denied the peace of God. We actually pushed it away and said, what do I need peace for? I want to have my own life, and I want more, something better. So we took control. I was listening to, could have been Ken Wapnick this morning. Lynn plays Kurt Morrow these days too. But I guess it was Ken Wapnick talking about Helen and how Helen was really a denier. She liked to deny things. And of course, he tells you in A Course in Miracles, denial is as total as love is. So I think it was Ken called her a denier. And actually, there is a quote attributed to Helen saying that never underestimate the power of denial. And this entire world came really through the power of denial. It's really the idea that I denied heaven. And what do you mean by deny heaven? I deny oneness so I can have my individuality. I can be a person. You can't be a person in oneness, so one has to be denied in order to at least entertain being a individual person. Well, and you can dream dreams, of course, and that's exactly what the world is. It's a dream, and when you wake up, you're gonna laugh and say, "My God, it was just a dream." But until then, we have all kinds of problems, solving problems, which is exactly what the ego loves to do: is to solve problems, always to give you more problems to solve. And the only thing that gets you out of the problem, the only key word is only, is the idea of forgiveness, which, even though forgiveness is part of this world's illusion, it's the only illusion that doesn't breed more illusions. So it's not like solving a problem, you get two more problems. It's like, wait, I'm doing this to myself. I choose the peace instead of the problem. So peace is really a choice.
Yes, it is a choice. You mentioned Helen. You know, she was a denier. Could have an abrasive personality at times. She wasn't easy. And yet the course was given to her. I believe that the course was given to her because she agreed to do it. Because when she asked Jesus, you know, why me? Why are you giving this to me? And the answer was, is because you'll do it. And that was all there was to it. And that's what he needed, somebody to do it. That's it. Would you have done it? I don't know.
As you say that, what comes up is the word script. And a lot of people have problem with the word script.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
he said you would do it means it's written into the script.
Mhm.
That's why he said that to her. Well, you would do it. That's why I chose you, because you would do it. It's written into the script. And I think there's also I'm open to anyone in the room that might even have a very clear. My idea of the script is there's some people who think the script is written by the ego, and my idea of the script is that no matter who wrote it, the Holy Spirit uses it for His purpose. It doesn't matter, and you kind of know that because the people you meet in your life are the perfect people for you to learn the lessons you came here for. Ego is not so interested in you meeting the perfect people to learn lessons, but the Holy Spirit says, hey, listen, lesson 193, all things are lessons God would have me learn. And how do you learn them? You learn them through your relationships, through your life curriculum. I mean, you know, you bump into somebody in an elevator, you meet somebody over a cup of coffee or a beer or a meal, and things happen. Any thoughts on the script as written at all?
Yes, the scriptures. Yeah, I always believe that there are no accidents, and especially if you have any kind of communication with Rob Schwartz. I mean, that's, you know, I mean, he talks about that all the time, that there are no accidents, that this is this is all planned beforehand. Even the parents we pick, the people that we choose to relate to during our lifetime and so forth. And because we're here to learn. And sometimes the lessons can be difficult to learn, but well, according to Rob Schwartz, sometimes the more difficult the lesson, the faster you'll excel. So people choose difficult lessons in order to bypass various lifetimes. It's a very, you know, you can really look at it from so many different angles. So yeah, I always believe that there are no accidents, and that the script is definitely written. Even straight, and the course will tell you, the teacher's manual will say this, that, you know, a child could run into you, you know, and you know, you look at each other for that moment, and the script was written for that as well. So you know, we think we have control over our lives, and we do have choices, but the choices we ultimately make are the ones we're supposed to make, strangely enough. So I do believe that.
Right. I'm glad you brought up Rob Schwartz. I was thinking of him as I was speaking. And
Mhm,
I'm glad also, I think it was you who invited Rob to come to
mhm,
gather.
mhm.
And I think that was really, you know, I wrote an article on it called The Dark Side of the Moon. It's going to appear in the September issue of Miracles Magazine, I believe. And also it's going to be used at the end of the year by Awakening. It's the old teachers of God, Lisa Natoli and Bill Free. they now, they have a new a group called Awakening Center, something like that, and they're going to be posting writings by various people who've taught along the way, and they asked me to write one, so I wrote it on the dark side of the moon. I call it the dark side of the moon because even though I have a certainty that there are no accidents in this world. And if you read Dream Roles, chapter 29, section 4, it says, no one can do anything to you except the role that you assign to them.
Mhm.
When is it that I assigned the role? Did I assign it when I was 10 years old, 20 years old? No, we have like a casting director. We are the casting director. We have a casting couch, and we invite maybe people that were in our life in the last life, whatever. I'm not going to go into reincarnation, but I beat you up last time. Now I want you to beat me up. And that's one of the 5 things that Rob Schwartz says. Why do we choose the lessons that we have? One of them is to balance our karma. In my last life, I killed somebody. Well, in this life, they're probably going to kill me one way or another. And you say, well, why would that happen? Well, there are lessons I've come here to learn. It's not that the world is, oh, well, I'm going to have a ball for myself. No, there's a curriculum. My life is my curriculum, and I'm going to learn lessons. And no matter what happens, exactly what it says in A Course in Miracles, under responsibility for sight, everything that seems to happen to me, everything I have asked for, and I have received exactly as I have asked. It doesn't say as ego wants me. He said, as I have asked. So it's taking responsibility. And the only responsibility you really have in this world, after you recognize that you are the cause of your own life, is to be responsible for choosing the atonement, which is to recognize that not only that this didn't happen and I'm dreaming, but not a note in heaven's song was even missed. Nothing really happened. All is the same, peaceful. I just want to mention that Karen put up in the chat a quote from Ken Wapnick. It's frustrating if you think that your goal is peace. It's very liberating when you tell it the way it really is, and you realize that your only goal is to see how much I don't really want peace. So that's very much, as Ken's teaching, look at it the way it is, not the way you set it up. The way we set it up is, oh, somebody took my peace away. BS. I did it to myself, and I really didn't want the peace. I wanted something more. And of course, the word more in the Course in Miracles, chapter 29, section 8, means the Antichrist. You got to laugh. You really got to laugh. Over to you.
Yeah, it's frustrating if you think that your goal is peace. It's liberating when you realize that my only goal is to see how much I don't want peace. Think about that. That's by Ken Wapnick. So, yeah, and this is, very telling because we don't know what we want. We think that we want peace, but we don't know the difference between peace and the antithesis of peace. So, I don't know. I find this very, very, very telling. And once we realize that, that's what the ego is really keeping us away from, because that's the ego's job, to keep us away from the peace of the tranquility that we're given to feel, the peace of God, the love of God, and all of that. The ego is terrified of God. And we behave as such until we realize that it's all an illusion, and that everything is an illusion, and the only truth is what we the peace is the only truth there is, true peace. And once you learn the difference between what you think the ego's definition of peace is and God's definition of peace, the difference is, you begin to realize that the the two are completely diametrically opposed, completely. What we think is peace is not peace, and therefore we don't want it. We don't want the ego's version of peace. We want the true meaning of what peace is, and it's an interesting. When you look at the concept, you can sort of dissect it, take it apart, and recognize that we're all masters of our own destiny, I suppose. And we all have the power to create what we truly are here to learn, to create, to be, to feel. So, I was with Susan yesterday. She brought up the movie, The Wizard of Oz. And it's such a wonderful movie to discuss because there's so many aspects of it that relate to what the Course is really telling us, except that movie, that story was created long before its time. The fact that, she runs away from home thinking that she wants something else when all along she was at home. She could return home anytime she wanted to. All she needed to do was understand that that's what she wanted. But she went through all this, all what she went through in order to learn those lessons. And to come back home, I think she needed to go through that. That whole scenario that she went through, which created the whole movie, the characters that she met and so forth, brought her to the realization that there's really no place like home. Well, that's what the Course in Miracles is telling us, that we really want to go home. We want to go home to the peace of God. We want that. And that's why I think we're so blessed to have the Course in Miracles teaching us that, because I don't think there's anything that establishes that truth the way the Course does. It makes you see, look at this, look at the way it is. It's a crash course in a way.
You gotta laugh, really.
Yeah.
By the way, I see Karen's hand is up. If you want. Karen?
Thanks, Dove. Thanks, Myrna. Oh my gosh, Myrna, my daughter loved that movie growing up as a child. And it's interesting because she has and had ADHD and never could really sit through a movie. But that's one movie she could sit through. Her eyes would be glued to the TV when that movie came on. Oh my gosh. So you brought back some good memories with that movie. But I wanted to share on the Ken's quote, because what it reminds me of is where in that today's review lesson where he says what you mentioned, Myrna, where he says, to say these words is nothing, but to mean these words is everything. And for me, it's looking at through the day, how often do I have attack thoughts? How often do I judge? How often, am I not happy, and not feeling joy? How often? And they're the times that I can look and see, what's going on here, because the Course tells us in the introduction that, we're here to remove the blocks to love's presence. So I really do. Of course, my goal is peace, and I want the peace of God. But how often do I really not want it, and really prevent myself from having it? And like Dove said, I'm doing this to myself. So it's an undoing, unlearning, removing constantly. So thanks.
Thanks, Karen. That's great. Well, I want to let you know that you're not alone, because I think every person on the planet goes through what you do. As a Course in Miracles student, I sometimes will now be disappointed in myself, because it's almost as if I'm defying what I should be knowing, what I'm talking about, what I'm teaching. I feel guilty about that, but then that's the ego's ploy as well. So yeah, and you just have to forgive yourself every single time you have that emotion, of judging, of not being happy, of feeling bad. Believe me, I go through that as well. The only difference between now and then, okay, when I now and then, when I say then, was when I really didn't know how to define it. I didn't know how to release myself from it. Now I'm able to know how to at least know that I'm going through something that all I need to do is release myself from it. And we can't do it alone. So that's when I run to Jesus, and I'll do something. And then I'll say to Jesus, I just attacked myself, didn't I? Didn't I just attack myself? Because when I have a poor thought, it's an attack on myself. And I'm able to come to terms with it. And I always feel as if he's listening to me, and he agrees with me a lot. Yes, you did just attack yourself. And then only then do I really go on to another level, where I can get out of it. So in that, at least in that respect, the course has done miracles for me. Really has created, because every time I'm able to release myself from one of those, adverse thoughts, I'm able to see it as a miracle. I just experienced a miracle, and that's illuminating. It's a good feeling. It really is. It's great. What are your thoughts?
I was as you were talking, somehow you reminded me of movies, and I'm thinking like for instance, I watch Netflix a lot, but I notice that I really stay away from the movies that are binge watching, where you have one season after another, and you never put it down. So I really just go for the short movies, 90 minutes, 2 hours. And I like that because it gives you the whole thing. And, but if you get into binge watching, it's like one season after another, one episode after, it never ends. And that's what this world is. This world is the ego's Netflix. It's always, well, there's another year coming. It's 24, it's 25, it's next, it's fall, it's winter, it's spring, it's summer. It's binge watching, and the ego loves it because he knows that you're not interested in peace and quiet and stillness. He knows that you're interested in winning. I want to win. I don't care who loses. I want to get. I don't care who lacks. So this binge watching goes on forever until, well, obviously it's not forever because sooner or later the body finds a time to exit stage left after entering stage right. But you're watching a movie basically. I mean, you use the word movie or you use the word dream, and I really get all of that from something that Lynn put up here from chapter 28, section 2. I just took the first couple lines. It says, this miracle establishes that you dream a dream or you're watching a movie and that its content is not true. This is a crucial step in dealing with illusions and dealing with dreams and dealing with movies and dealing with things that you think is real that's not real. And then once you recognize that you're doing this to yourself, no one is afraid. No one has fear anymore when he perceives that he made it all up and none of it is true. Not one thing in this world is true. And as Ken Wapping says about the Course in Miracles, because a lot of people think the book is sacred. Said the only thing in this entire 1,300 pages that's true is the two words, God is. And of course, you take the word God out of it. It's the isness that is our only business. You got to laugh, really. Back over to you, Myrna.
Okay, I want the peace of God. There we go. That's right. So I'm going to read from Private Lessons with Jesus. So it's a review of 185, lesson 185. How can the peace of God be truly understood when you indulge the ego with so much freedom to roam about? While indulging the ego's frantic fantasies, you cannot experience peace. Give God your best and he will give you his. Peace has become easier for you to reach as you have traveled a long and difficult road to attain it. You can feel its wonderful effects because you have learned where it lies and how to retrieve it. The ego holds on to you with all its purported strength, but in truth, it has none. You will always be within the earshot of its beckoning call until you learn it has no power to make you listen. In order to experience peace of mind, you must first break the habit of allowing an alien intrusion to feast upon your thoughts. You can break the habit. It's like eating chocolate. When you do without, even for a little while, the addiction is weakened. Such is the same with the ego's need to fulfill its addiction, depriving you of peace. Peace is what you truly want. The ego's nagging insistence causing you to lose your peace has no power if you do not invest so heavily in it. It only has as much power as you believe it has. Try to withstand the urges of the ego and focus your thoughts where it will do the most good. When you truly start to experience real peace, it is because you let the past go and are living in the present. So, this thought, this analogy is that we really do want peace. Ken Wapnick says we don't really want it. Well, yeah, again, looking at it from the ego's dictates, we don't want it. We can't achieve it. It's impossible to achieve lasting peace in that respect. So, the ego's need to fulfill its addiction, which the addiction is not to give you peace. The ego's addiction is to feel fear, to feel pain, fear, all the aspects of the emotions that are opposite love, and we go through it. The ego always jumps in. I think if we ever reached a point in this lifetime we never experienced that, we'd probably just disappear. We turn into sages. We wouldn't be in this form any longer. So as long as we're in form, we're going to experience the evils of the causes of all this, all the discourse that we suffer from. So, I find this, for me, this was just a whole year of figuring out what these lessons should mean to me personally. So that's why I relate so much to it, because it's really for me personally. That's what I asked for, and that's what I got. So I turn it back to you, Dove.
Very good. I like that. That's what I asked for. That's what I got. That's exactly, it comes right out of responsibility for sight. This is what I asked for. This is what I got. He says, stop deceiving yourself that you're unfairly treated. Acknowledge that you were mistaken. How could you be unfairly treated if you wrote the script? I mean, this is the lesson I want to learn. I mean, no, I was unfairly treated. Someone else did it to me. By saying that, you actually weaken yourself, and it's impossible to weaken the Son of God. So you become something that you're not. I'm like a shadow of what God created me. I mean, so I have to be willing to say there's another way of seeing this. So that's why lesson 28 is so powerful. Above all else, forget all this stuff about winning and losing and this and that. Above all else, I am determined to see things differently, And here's Ken Wapnick's commentary on today's lesson. He says, people have been talking about peace for millennia, yet there's no peace here. The thought of love that is Jesus remains in the healed mind, which is beyond the dream. So as long as you stay in what we call the ego mind, or thinking that the world is real, uh, you're spinning your wheels. You're like a hamster in a hamster wheel going nowhere, thinking that you're going someplace, and actually you're just dreaming. So you're willing to say, is there another way? And when he checks in with you at the very end, chapter 31, section 8, choose once again, he's saying you really have a choice in every moment of now to choose once again. Where you once chose poorly the first time, you're now getting a new chance to choose again. And choosing poorly the last time simply means that you see somebody outside of you is responsible for your dream. No, I'm the dreamer of the dream, and I forgot to laugh. I took it seriously. That's why Dove keeps saying you got to laugh. You got to laugh because literally laughter is healing. Gentle laughter is healing. And you take anything seriously, that's what the ego wants you to do, is take it seriously, because that makes it real. And if you make a dream real, you cannot wake up from a dream that's somebody else's dream. You cannot wake up from a dream that's someone else's dream. And you got to be aware, my God, I'm doing this to myself. And once you realize that, you can choose the atonement for yourself. And what is choosing the atonement? I was mistaken. I was mistaken. Everything I thought and believed to be true, not one thing in this world is true. And with that, I'll just rest and turn it back on over to you, or to anyone who wants to. Welcome, Regis, to see you in the room. Karen, Sharon, anyone, Michelle, Mikhail, sorry, Mickey, you want to please share? Please do.
I want to say I love the background that you chose for the setting to do the Zoom talk. That brings me back to New York City, a restaurant I used to jump into, near my store, looked just like that.
Right. All those dives on Bleecker Street, those coffee houses where Bob Dylan used to sing way back in the 60s. That's exactly what it looks like. And by the way, it comes from her name is Zucchini Wild from Australia, and she started a new thing called Miracles Cafe. And to be in her Miracles Cafe, she gives you the backdrop, which is how I got it. And then she does an interview over a cup of coffee, and you have to bring your cup of coffee with you, of course, to be in Miracles Cafe. Yeah.
Oh, I love the Miracles Cafe. I love that thought, because it looks like a little Miracles Cafe. And I'm telling you, this is very similar to a cafe in New York, with the brick walls and the psychedelic paintings on the walls, and the wooden tables and so forth. I like the ambience a lot. I really like that you picked that. That's really nice.
I didn't pick it. It's hers. You'll probably see more of it on Facebook, because she's posting new interviews that she did. I'll send you the one that she did. I think it came out when you were away on the Danube.
So what does she do? She gives you backdrops for.
She gives you the backdrop for the interview. It's like an hour interview, and it's in a coffee house. This seems so real that someone at another Zoom actually said to me, "Did I paint those things on the wall?" No, I didn't paint the thing on the wall.
Yeah. So how have the last 2 weeks been treating you? I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. I've been away. What have you been doing? Anything come up that that might pique my interest, because I've been away from it?
I had some good things that happened. I attended my grandson's engagement party.
Oh, now that's something.
Excellent opportunity to see my first wife, who I haven't really talked to in 4 or 5 years. Kind of, that's her choice, which is okay. But somehow we obviously came together, because it's her grandson too. And so we started off speaking. It started with some small talk, but after about an hour, it got really very good and deep. And I found myself saying, Carol, I just want to apologize for the 10 years that we were together. And I really was really not such a great husband at all. And you could see some tears came to her eyes. She says, I'm so glad that you said that. She says, I'm so glad because obviously she's been holding on to that for a very long time. And it's a letting go. I know I felt the letting go, and I think that she felt the letting go. And it's really like since the last time we were together, we did get a divorce in 1970. So you can see that's over 50 years that has been going on in her mind.
That's very interesting you say that because I'm going to be going to my granddaughter's wedding and I'll be seeing my ex-husband. We were married for 17 years. But I'm very proud of you that you were able to say that because if that was said to me, I mean, it would mean a lot to me. Although I should really say it to him because I think I'm the one who should do the apologizing, truthfully. But I guess, listen, in a marriage, in a relationship, it's never the fault of just one person. I think both people contributed to some degree. Anyway, so I'm sure that meant a lot to her.
It really did. Thank you. I see Karen's hand is up. Karen?
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you, Dove. I think that's so great that you know, had that forgiveness opportunity. And I think that's why, miracles collapse time, because I mean, if we could forgive, sooner, we could collapse all that pain and sorrow and hurt, but it's perfect. It's all perfect. Whenever it's done, it's done. And I like what you just said, Myrna. It takes two. It takes two to tango. It's never just one.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to share was I loved what you read, Myrna, about the ego. And one thing that really stuck out to me was when you said it has no power to make you listen. It has no power to make you listen. And I do agree with that because it only has the power that we give it, and I give it power. I notice that I do sometimes give it power. So that's something that I look at when I give it power. Why am I giving it power right now? But the ego has nothing. It's nothing. It's only, the power that we give it. And what the quote that I love that helps me is where he says, the power of decision is your one remaining freedom as a prisoner of this world. So we're really only a prisoner of our thoughts, and we can release them anytime because we have that power. We have the power to choose again. So thanks.
Oh, thank you, Karen. That's beautiful. Good sharing. We do have the power. It makes me see all the more that we recognize we do. We do have the power to change. And that's the beauty of it all. I mean, we're not stuck in any particular form or ideas. We can always just often the words of Winston Churchill. He said, "If you never change your mind, nothing ever changes." I love that. That comes to me pretty often. If you never change your mind, nothing ever changes. He. He was the only one that wanted to resist Hitler. The cabinet in England, his cabinet was insisting that they give Hitler what he wants. They didn't want to, they didn't want to clash with him. They were afraid of Hitler. And finally, it was Winston Churchill who was able to, to say, okay, somehow he changed everybody's mind. And they asked him how he did it. And that was the answer he gave. And I think it's a telling statement. It's a truth that you can change your mind. And if you don't change your mind, nothing's ever going to change for you. So I like that. I like that thought. Certain things sometimes come to me, something someone will say and it'll click. Just like yesterday, Karen, you said, only equals are at peace. And that statement caught me. That was those few words. And I wanted to hear from you what you meant by it because I connected to it. And, an idea, a thought, can really bring us to another platform, another level of learning, you know. I just like that. So, yeah. Anybody else have anything to say?
Yeah, and that idea of not making, and there's a Ken Wapnick quote, make no concessions to the ego. Actually, that is not the word. Make no compromise with the ego, and that's exactly what Chamberlain did with Hitler. He compromised because he didn't want to really take Hitler on, and of course he left as prime minister, and Winston Churchill came on, and Churchill said no, and we're going to defend our country, and he made no compromise.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, that's yeah, I think he was the only one. I mean, you know, at the time, the royalty had more say in politics than they do today, and it was King George that said that he would go along with whatever Hitler not Hitler, whatever Churchill decided, and so he did have the strength of the crown at the time. Now it's you know it doesn't amount to a hill of beans really. It's but anyway, I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, everything is works out to the way it's supposed to, I suppose. And yet we still move ahead no matter what we've experienced throughout history, wars, and you think that it's the end of the world, and yet we go on and we excel, and things just sometimes we take a few steps backwards, but we go forwards, you know.
The word, the word I was thinking of, I'm sorry, is compromise. Make no compromise with the ego, because the ego is going to win. You actually think, well, I'll do this if you do that. You know, I won't do this anymore if there's an if in the center of the way you spell life. If your life has an if in it, then he says God is not the center of your life. If God is the center of your life, there are no ifs.
Right. You're right. The ego will never compromise because the ego has to be right. And you often use the phrase, would I rather be right than happy? Or I'd rather be happy than right, right? Or either way. But that's true, you know, we want to be, or the ego has to have its way. And when you say you apologized, you know, to your ex-wife, it's because your ego probably had to have its way. And that's the way it was with me as well, you know. And so that's very telling, the ego, there is no compromise with the ego. So you have to get out of the ego's dictates to truly realize and recognize that only truth can bring you the peace that you want, only the willing to compromise, the willing to change your mind about, you know, the emphatic, you know, thoughts that the ego, you know, the insistence that the ego is so good at achieving, you know, winning. And
I see Karen's hand is up. Karen?
Yeah, thank you, Myrna. Thank you, Dove. I just am reminiscing on the power here, the power that the Course talks about, the power of our mind so often. And one quote that I really love here, that I think is so powerful. He says, true learning is constant and so vital in the power for change that a son of God can recognize his power in one instant and change the world in the next. So we're literally changing the world because we're changing our mind. So you know, we talk about these big things people do in the world, that they change the world, but it's all these things that the Course really doesn't recognize, because the Course doesn't recognize things that things in form. It's what we do with our mind. It's changing the world with our thoughts. And I just think that is so powerful. We can change the world in one instant just by changing our mind from fear to love. And I really, really love that. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I often think of that's my purpose, really, to change the world. That's exactly how we change the world. That's what we're here to do, really. That's what I believe, that we're here to make. That's why God needs us, really, I think, because we are much more powerful than we realize. And that by changing our mind, it changes things. By bringing that the power that we're given, we don't realize how powerful we truly are. And the Course does tell us, tells us, but we have to really believe it in order to understand that that's the truth. That if we change, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to change our mind about the world, and that's what will change the world. And I agree with that, Karen. That absolutely, I think about that very often.
Yeah,
So.
that brings up a topic. I kind of mentioned this the other day, and if anyone can remember where it was, we were reading, I think, from the text at the time. Maybe Lynn remembers, maybe Karen remembers. It's actually Ken Wapnick always likes to say that this course was written for you. You don't have to preach it to anybody else, which is true. To teach is to really demonstrate. But there's one place in the course where Jesus specifically says, if a sufficient number of miracle-minded people actually chose uh, uh, to see things differently, it would absolutely save an enormous amount of time in this world that can keep dragging on forever. So Jesus is telling you that miracle mindedness from more people can save time. So that's one place where Jesus is saying, you know, uh, very good. Thank you so much. I knew you would think of it. If a sufficient number become truly miracle minded, this shortening process can be virtually immeasurable. It's essential, however, that you free yourself from fear quickly. And that comes from chapter 2, the separation, I guess separation from something, the meaning of the last judgment. So Jesus is saying, if a sufficient number of people become miracle minded, so he's talking about numbers, even though I know Ken Wapnick is very big on Jesus doesn't know about numbers. He only knows about one. You got to laugh because, but Ken Wapnick is very clear that the language of the Course is very frustrating because he says one thing in one place and another thing in another place. They seem to contradict, but they are all part of what Jesus is saying. Thank you for bringing it up. Chapter 2, section 8, paragraph 2. 282. I got to remember that. 282. 282. That's how I remember things. 282. Believe it or not, that's the first three numbers of my phone number. 282. Isn't that something? 282-4455. Call me anytime.
Yeah, I was going to say, this thing I'm going to in Scotland in September, is going to be Sebastian Blakesley is going to be there, and Glenn Hoverman, and Booty, and Rodrigo, and a bunch of people that are involved in that, where a lot of channeling work has, it's basically channels and support people who support channels, etc. So I'm really excited about it. Of course, Mandy's going to be there, but that's what I'm looking at. A group of people who, if we all got together and did it, could maybe make miracles happen. Just because of a group of people that are right-minded, just like we are here. Um, just like we are here. I'm real excited about it. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that I think when we join with other people, it makes it even more um, uh,
Potent,
powerful.
powerful,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Oh, it's going to be great being with that group and being in that consciousness. Of course, you'll change the world. You know, it's going to take us to another step forward. Of course, you're living your purpose by just connecting that way. I think it'll be a great experience. And I'm glad you're going. Really, I didn't know those people that you mentioned were going to be there. Glenn Hogelman and Sebastian Blakesley. I mean, and to talk to him will really kind of give you, and in that environment. Oh, do you know why they chose Scotland? Any particular reason, or just that was just a place?
Finhorns, Finhorns.
Findhorn,
Mhm.
Findhorn, which is a well-known spiritual
Oh, is it?
center.
Oh.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Findhorn, Findhorn. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
something I've heard about since I was a teenager. You know,
Mhm.
I wanted to go to Findhorn, and you know, there used to be a lot of like in the Mother Earth News and different things that I read, you know, articles about the things that happen at Findhorn, and there's some books out there about the Findhorn project and experience, and so it's you know, kind of like a dream vacation
Mhm.
that I would
So,
never ever have dreamt I could go on. I never thought I could go. So,
well, see, that's a miracle right there. How many of you are going?
I think the thing Glenn said there was going to be like, there were 40 people invited. There also the people that translated A Course in Love. So there's going
Mhm.
to be a bunch of Course of Love people there,
Oh,
and so yeah, it's going to be.
Oh, John Mundy's going now too.
Oh, John is going to go now too.
Yep, yep.
Yep, there we go.
see, it's building.
One mind is going to be well represented by you and John.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mickey has her hand up. Please go ahead, Mickey.
I just wanted to tell you, Lynn, that I I have a book. It's probably like 20 years old, and it's from the Finhorn Society, and it has all these. I mean, within the dream, it has all these different angelic beings that reign over each plant and the properties that angelic being does. So it's it's like having a book about angels. So it's kind of really cool. And then what Myrna said about Winston Churchill, I really like that comment. He must have been listening to the voice of the Holy Spirit in his mind when he said that. And he's also on The Crown on Netflix. If anybody has Netflix, they have certain episodes there where Winston Churchill is a big
Yes, I love The
one.
Crown. I'm only disappointed there's not going to be another season. I was looking forward to another season. I mean, I really didn't watch it at the beginning, but once I hooked into it, after a few seasons, I really became addicted. I binged on it. Love The Crown. Uh, really told. And you're right. Chris, you see everything. You see. The the various different premieres that come through during Queen Elizabeth's reign, and all the relationships that you develop, different ones with each of them. But yeah, I
So interesting.
I like
Your
that. So
time
interesting. Mhm,
looks like your time is up.
mhm, mhm.
I really enjoyed this time with you all, and